Good afternoon, everybody. This is Steve Hawkins, and yes, I am alive. Yes, I am well. We got through Hurricane Harvey okay, and I'm ready to show you a new build of Alliance of the Sacred Sons. Something I've come to realize as I've been developing games over the last couple of years, I'm still relatively new. I have a lot more respect for developers who put out their early versions. One reason it seems like I take so long between releases is I just want to put one more feature in, I just want to cram one more thing or make one thing work better, because when you show your work to a lot of people, when it's on the internet, you know how that goes. So I've kind of come to learn to have peace with myself to know, look, this is a early version, this is a pre-alpha. It is what it is. It's a work in progress. So I feel pretty good about it. Anyway, so I'm going to show you some of the new things that have gone on. There's enough to do a Let's Play. I don't want to do that quite yet, but I do want to show you some of the new features. So we'll kind of go through here. None of this has pretty much stayed the same. I do want to talk a little bit about culture because it actually matters a lot more. So all the houses in the game, there are 10 great houses, of which 5 are picked at any one time, and then of course your house. And there's also 5 minor houses. And they are based on a primary culture. And there are 18 different cultures in the game. There are 6 in what we call the inner ring, which are the green constellations. There are 6 in the yellow ring, which are a little bit farther out, and then you have the periphery, which are in the red. And you have civilizations and cultures that are kind of wild out there. But these are the 6 main cultures that basically what your house, the tolerances of your house, how good your pops are at things, how good your characters are at things. And they're based on ideas. For instance, Neo-American, this is the one that I usually play with. This is kind of the common one. This is the good old USA kind of they're democratic. They believe in, truth, justice, and the American way, that sort of thing. It's what I would call if this were a true 4X, this would be the humans. Traditionalists, this is more of your church, church and state, very Puritan type stuff, very intolerant of science, very intolerant of other things that are not church. Technic, this is the opposite. Technics and traditionalists do not get along at all. They believe that the body is made to be better. They believe that things were made to be taken apart to be better. They're also very good at science and academies, and houses that specialize in technique tend to produce a lot of science. Mercantile, they make money. They believe in trading. They believe in making a buck. So houses that specialize, that have the mercantile culture, tend to do very well financially. Gilded worlds, this is a little bit different. This is kind of think of a culture on an LSD trip. Think of it as sort of a decadence, and think of it like if Rome had LSD. And that's kind of how the Gilded Worlds go. So a little bit of a wild card. And then the Spartans, these are your war culture. Very military, very disciplined, high warrior ethos. If you have a planet that is held by a house that has a Spartan culture, there's a very good chance that that planet will do okay. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick with Neo-American, and we're going to set up the house. Go with Hawkstorm. That's what I usually go with. Now, there's not a lot on this still. This is a lot of the same. If you looked at previous, you can set your gender, you can set your name. I like this guy. He reminds me of the guy in Star Trek Nemesis for some reason. All right, so we're going to go ahead and build our empire. Now, this takes a little bit longer than it has in the past. I'm building the routines for migration to take culture into account, so it creates a very cool effect of tolerant cultures being kind of a melting pot and intolerant cultures moving away and forming their own cultures over time. However, it does take quite a bit of processing power. So where this used to take about 20 seconds before the game started, because it goes through 5 turns to kind of get everything ready, now it takes a little bit longer. So it takes probably about 45 seconds to a minute. So I know it's not a lot of time, but I'll use this time while it's generating. I'm going to talk about some of the things that we've added. We've added some new constellations. There are now 16 constellations. Eventually there'll be 30. We've added the power system. We've started to put that in. We've added several new actions, some new projects. We spent a lot of time on the trade system. Done a lot of balancing on the economic system. We have added the house screen. It's still a work in progress. But we've started to add the how actions are created and how it affects your power. So I'll kind of talk into that a little bit. We've also tweaked how the world is generated. Now there can only be 1 province per constellation. So the idea is provinces are very rare. If you give a house a province, then that's a lot of power. So there can be multiple provinces in a constellation, but that province would be another civilization. So you can only have one province um, per constellation. So I think I've done a pretty good job getting the vast majority of the bugs out. There are still going to be some visual glitches, things like that. Obviously, there are going to be some logic issues, but as far as game-breaking bugs, things like that, there really shouldn't be any at this point. So here we are. So we've got Enosis. We've now also given them names. So that's always kind of cool. So we've got Neosiris. Now you see how everything is one constellation now. So let's kind of take a look. So we'll see what we've got. We've got Arcania, which is pretty much ours, and we've got Hanfei, which is owned by several different cultures. I see we've got, let's see what houses we've got in this game. So we've got House Milak, who is neutral. We've got Aloha, who is neutral. We've got Van Rigel, who is neutral. Oh, Carolee Finn hates us. So this is actually pretty good. Usually you have several houses that hate you. There is somewhat of a random factor. Different cultures, there are some hardwired houses that hate each other. You can change that over the game, but it's kind of the baseline. Anyway, so since they're neutral, they don't like us, but they don't really hate us. So Carolee Finn is the only one that hates us. And you can see the power here. The most powerful house is Milak, except for me. Oh, I have 851 power. I'm the Emperor. I own most of the stuff, so that's as it should be. So that will come into play in a few things I'll show you in a minute. So let's kind of look around. Now, the thing I like to look at is logistical stations. Now, these have also changed. You can now have logistical stations. They go anywhere from class 3 to class 1 to class 10. Class 10 stations are huge. They can cover multiple constellations, but they are extremely expensive to build and maintain. While class 1s are just quick, they're just meant to cover a couple of areas close by. So if you have a planet that you're looking to colonize or create a mining station and you just can't quite get there, you can build a small logistical station to reach it. You can expand existing logistical stations as well. All right, so all of my constellations are covered, although if I want to get something out here, say I will need to expand slightly. So for instance, if I want to go Ultima, let's say I want to look at this desert, which I really wouldn't, it's not great, but if I did, you'll notice I can't do anything with it because it's not within the province. So something to think about. And this is how you expand. You build logistical stations. And just so logistical stations are not like one station. They represent a network of fueling depots, supply stations, supply ports throughout this space. So it's not just like a station per se. It's just kind of where that network is based out of. So, all right. So let's take a look at my capital. So we have New Terra. A couple of new things have been added here. So we now have the space station level 4 and the logistical station level 3. So you can kind of see how that looks. You also have ownership is now fixed. So you have house ownership and civilization ownership. So we've gone in, we tweaked quite a bit of production. You see now we've changed basically the region system so that there shouldn't be some weird staffing issues. If you have pops that want to work and there's enough facilities, they're going to find a job. So as you can see, there is unemployment, but everything we have is staffed. So that's a case of overpopulation. We've added the region summary. This will actually, I have decided to go ahead and add a visual representation of the regions. Nothing fancy, just basically a tiles showing each type of region, so you can get a sense of what regions are developable, what you might expect. This is very important when you are looking to colonize new planets because it costs a lot, and I'll show you in a minute. It's very expensive to colonize. So. All right, so what can we do? So I do want to show you the trade system too. Now there is an issue where it takes a turn to kind of initialize, but you can see I have a provincial trade station here, here, and here. Now, this station is owned by someone else. This is owned by Van Rigel. So that will be a problem. I'll show you why in a minute. But I own this province station, province trade hub and this province trade hub. So let's go ahead and let things run. And again, the goal is to have turns take about 30 seconds. Now right now, when I had the migration system kind of neutered, it was very quick. I'm within about 20 seconds or so, give or take. Larger systems take a little longer. This is a little bit larger empire, I guess. So if you have smaller empires, it won't take as long. Okay, so you can already see now things kind of happen in real time. You'll notice up here I've also added resource flow. So you can see up here 173. So I'm losing energy. Energy is very hard to get. I'm still kind of tweaking what that looks like, but it should be, you know, planets that have that should be very important. Okay, so the way the system works, if you remember playing the first Imperia, it's kind of a hybrid of that. So you have the province trade hubs. So what they do is they suck in the supplies from the regional trade hubs. Let me see if I have, okay, like here, I've got a secondary trade hub here. You can see this line. This ship here is going to send their stuff to the province trade hub. Okay, so that's kind of cool. You also see there is another trade that's being sent here, which is kind of cool. And then what should happen if it's my own house, they send their resources to me. So then I get to go to New Terra. So you see all these lines coming in here? That is my trade hubs sending the resources my way. So you see I've got this, I guess this is a secondary trade hub. Yes, so it's sending the resources as well because I'm considered the primary trade hub as well if I'm the empire. So, but you see, oh no, they're not sending the resources. Why not? Because they belong to someone else, and so they're keeping their resources. So we need to do something about that. So let's go talk to Mr. All right, so what you have to do is you have to go talk to the system governor and basically get them to release the trade. So you go to assignment actions. This is one of the new actions, demand empire trades. Now, a couple things. Let me get out of that. So some of the things that factor into a decision. So each action has its own individual inputs, but then all actions have a global I guess, action as far as how they're determined. So one of the biggest things is the difference in power. So I've got 213 power right now. This governor has 142, 138 base, plus they have 4 accrued power, and that's the power that goes up and down over time. This is their set power based on their house and their position. So there's not a huge difference, but I am somewhat more powerful than him, so that does play a role. If I'm less powerful, they are less likely to agree unless they're friends or something like that. The second thing that's important is my relationship. Now we're friends, which is great. It is possible to have friends within a house that hates you, and this is why. You see the motives? This is their honor. He has very poor honor. So what this, among other things, is this represents how likely they are to, I guess, toe the house line, so to speak. So if I have a house that hates me, but I have someone with a poor honor, they're going to do whatever they want. So you know, saying, you know what? I'm going to cut my own deals. I'm gonna do what I want with the emperor. Not very unlike our system of government, I guess. So you want to kind of look for that. So they may break, and then obviously culture matters. We have similar cultures. Traditionalist is a little bit the church culture, but it's not as crazy as if I were a technic or if I were a gilded world. So our cultures are a little more compatible. So, with that in mind, we'll go back here. Now, one of the things I'm going to add will probably be down here. I do want some kind of feedback. I don't want to give you the answer as far as, yes, this will be accepted. I don't like that, but you are going to have factors. So, in instance, you played Europa Universalis, you'll have like, you know, minus, 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 my house hates you. Minus, minus, he hates you. Minus, you have different cultures. Plus, you are popular. Plus, plus, you have a lot of power. So, you'll be able to get an idea of kind of where you stand, but you're never really truly going to know. And this is important. I'm going to show you why. And this is something new with the power system. Okay, so Jtissa, for the good of the Celestial Empire, I require that you send your trade hubs goods to our capital. So we're going to confirm. Okay. Yep. If the Empire requires our goods, then our goods it shall have. And this is testing. You won't see this in the final version, but just for me to see. Now, obviously, I got a lot going for me. We're friends. I'm powerful. Our cultures aren't terribly dissimilar. So he's okay with it. But you notice my power went up. It went from, it was 212, now it's 219. So, everything you do affects your power. If you ask a province governor or a system governor or someone with a lot of power to do something and they say, no, go pound sand, that's going to drop your power because you've been called out in front of your entire civilization. Whereas consequently, if you ask them to do something, then you'll get a small boost in power. Now, you're going to get a bigger drop in power than a boost in power because you're the emperor. Generally, people expect that your word should be followed. Now, this does not apply to projects. Projects are always done. There is no way projects can be stopped right now. They may take a little longer, We'll get to those changes in a minute, but actions can always be stopped. They can be, and that does affect your power. So, all right, so we've got that. So they're on board. So now let's, by the way, these should be different color. You can see they're like different colors of green. Like here's the blue. For some reason, I need to do a better job of doing the color variants. Maybe I'll have just some set colors to make sure they're different enough. Right now it's a color, random color scheme. All right, so in a moment we should see this Providence Trade Hub send some goods, because we have now insisted that they send their goods to us. Up, and there it is. So as you can see, if you've ever read the Foundation series, Trantor, even Coruscant, these empires have a very delicate capital, and we've chosen that model where instead of having this all-beating capital world, the capital is actually somewhat fragile, and it depends on its outside trade and its outside colonies to provide it with the goods it needs to survive. So, of course, it specializes in government. It has a tremendous amount of ADM, but as you can see, it doesn't have a lot of energy. 5,215 energy, a fair amount of basic materials, and just a very little bit of heavy and basic. And they're running a small surplus over here. So you'll see we're getting our first trades coming in. Now, one thing you can see what is already going to be coming in during this trade screen. Now, I'm still working on this overlap. I mean, as you can tell, this is all kind of work in progress, obviously, but I'm getting 144 units imported, which will cover about one turn, a bunch of food, and some basic materials. So energy is something that I'm going to need, because a lot of the colonization stuff requires energy. And I'm not exporting anything yet. Now, I had told you earlier I'd seen a ship exporting, so let's go see that one. Yeah, so the white ships are actually trades. Now, I wrote a blog a while back about the trade system. It's actually very complex. So let's kind of take a look. So we know that Zilsbog needs basic materials because it's in the red. And we know that Schuheister has basic materials to trade because it's in the blue. So we go here, and let's take a look. So we've got... it would have to be, yeah, so they have a huge need. That's 100 needs. So they're like, we are dying, we need basic materials, which is important. If you don't have basic materials and you start running out, your infrastructure starts to go down. So very important. So they have traded for a small amount, and this is something that I'm kind of tweaking. I've actually lowered the prices of goods. I want big trades to happen. 0.5 isn't going to really do a lot of good, considering they're rolling through 24 at a time. So I'm tweaking the system to where it's looking for bigger trades. But to do that, you have to lower the prices of the goods. So anyway, that's a work in progress. But so they did request it, and it was sent. So kind of see how that works. And then on this side, Albinus, who has the Providence Trade Hub, they've made 1 billion credits. Yay! So, and you can also see here, they are exporting food. This represents the food that they are exporting. So this is the 0.5 that they exported to us, and that's a 191.4 that they've exported to the build. And they're importing these goods. These goods are coming from their hubs as well. So they'll be sending those out once they have it. So that's how you kind of link things. And just to show you here, here's Enduring. So here's the secondary trade hub, and that's showing you that that's being exported out to 6101, 81.8. So, and then the secondary trade hubs pull, if there are any planets in the system themselves, they will also pull from those planets. They do not have to have, they have to have a spaceport, but that's all. They don't actually have to have a trade hub. So that's how the supply system and trade system works. Now you notice that you don't have to pay, I as the Empire do not have to pay for these trades. There are two types of trades. There are Empire trades, which bring the supplies in, and then there are the profit trades, which you saw in the white. And that's the difference between the white ship and the green ship, just visually. And this is just visual, nothing really attached to it yet. So there's that. So let's take a look at migration. So this little number here shows how many people have come to the system, and this shows how many people have left. Wow, 12 million people left Ichondria. That's weird. I wonder why. So now we can find out. Well, we know that 11 million migrated. We know that 2 were born, and this doesn't actually mean they're born. What it means is that they've reached their age of that they're able to become pops and work. Child pops are not counted in the population, but they're tracked so that when they become old enough, they now show up as a population. They are assigned a job type, either farmer, miner, what have you, and then they go out into the world to work. And then 3 of them died. So wow, that's a lot of migration. So that's something that I've been tweaking too. I want to see more people moving. So we had 32 merchants leave New Saturn. That's interesting. I wonder why. We had 6 miners leave. We had 4 leave to Whisper. This is where they went. So let's take a look at Rugglewitt. So it looks like they probably need some. They probably need some miners. So let's see. And one thing I'm going to add is you'll be able to click onto and you'll be able to click right onto the immigration that will go to that planet. It's a lot easier to find. And I don't know where Rugglewitt went. Well, so they went a long way. So, okay, well, let's look at something. Let's look at Whisper. This is like one of those things that finding your planets. One of the next things I'm going to add is the screen to go to all the planets. So, all right. Well, this is fun, clicking through things. But they went down here. Let's see. New series. I also expanded the range at which they can go. Of course, it makes it a lot harder to find other planets because now they can go a lot farther. So this is probably it here. Nope. Yeah, too many planets. I'll tell you what. Wow. This is going to be like literally the last planet I find. It's crazy. It's going to like literally be the very last one, Albinus. But you can see how many planets there are. And there's Whisper, of course, like the very last thing. Okay, so we pulled in a bunch of miners. Let's see why. So let's go here. So we'll turn off trade. So we've got, wow, we've got 20 mines. But we did not have 20 miners before. But you see we added a bunch of miners. Because you see, we immigrated 6 plus 4, 10. But then we lost 7 to Rugglewitt, 1 to Drikovac, 4 to Lucia, 1 to Hio-Dishid. Now this probably has to do with the cultures and trying to make the cultures more homogeneous. So let me kind of show you something here. This is also new. So we have a Hawkstorm Viceroy. So I told you earlier that houses have their own things that they're good at. They have what's called tradition. So if you go back to the houses here, we look at our tradition. So we have farming tradition, government tradition, mining tradition, manufacturing tradition, science tradition, and then trade tradition. There's also high-tech tradition, and that's going to go here when I add it. So each character has kind of a randomized how good they are in that certain area, and it's based on these scores. So what it means is, remember, the houses, some of these houses have been around for half an eon. So over time, they're going to have specialized in things. Well, since my house is the ruling house, it has an 80 in government tradition. So when I get out, so for ADM, this is the admin, yeah, she has a 158% modifier on creating ADM points. Well, she's probably not really in the right place because this is more of a manufacturing place. So when I look at my manufacturing, oh, she's 0.82 here, and she's just about even, so she's not really helping or hurting me, but she's killing me as far as power. By the way, this is something else we've added. We have what's called Fluxmen. They were actually always in the game, but they weren't added to the screen, so they're here now. So you can see how many Fluxmen. These actually create power, and then they tend to be very skilled. There's not as many of them. As I said, energy is something that's a limiting factor. So we've got plenty of farms. What we need to build, since we seem to have a surfeit of basic material, let's take a look at the planet. So we have phenomenal heavy materials. This is a super Earth. Now, super Earth tend to be a little bit more wild when it comes to materials. Some materials will have a ton of, some they won't. So energy's not too bad. This is slightly above average. Wow, those heavy materials. So this could be a heavy producing place. But what I need to do is I need to get more mines built. So let's take a look at what's being built now. Wow, she's building, okay, she's building energy. Okay, so build plan, if you don't remember my last one, every viceroy has a build plan based in part around what the focus of the planet is. So right now the focus of this planet is farms. Okay, so she's building farms, but however, she also is taking into account, because she's smart, and that's something that matters, she's smart and she's got a slightly higher admin score, she's going to build energy, because guess what? We need energy. We're at 0. She's also not really concentrating on mines, doesn't really care about mines so much, you know, and you can kind of tell what they want to build based on that. So I'm going to force her to build mines. So I'm going to go to assignment actions, and I'm going to improve specific economic sector. This is something else new. And we're going to order her to build mines. Now, she's on my team, so I don't think this is going to be something that she's going to confirm. No, negative defy. She likes me. We're friends. We're all on the same team. That's not going to be a problem. So next turn, she's going to build. Now you see it's changed to mines. So now she's gone to 36%. And now the farms have been cut way back, and now these build points are going to be shoved into mines. Energy's come up a little bit also. Now because this is a, she is good at admin, she's going to continue to build a lot of ADM because that helps her power source. And that depends on her traits as well. If she's power hungry, that can also play in. She's very driven. She wants to succeed. She has a high honor. So she's going to kind of toe the line, which Hawkstorm is known for, or the ruling house. So we're known for admin. So that's what she's going to do. So you can kind of get an idea from that. All right, so we're gonna bug out here. We're gonna do a little bit of exploring before we end this. I don't want this to be too terribly long. I'm gonna record a couple of these. We're gonna go into Cantor because we know we can reach it, and let's create a mine colony. Okay, so we have Cantor 3 is Terran, which is kind of nice, but it wasn't colonized because it has a corrosive atmosphere. But what it does have is a high energy source. Now we don't know what their heavy or rare output is. We could survey it to find out. Go in here, we could survey the planet, but I don't want to do that. I want to actually create a mining colony because I kind of want to get to show what we can do. So we're going to do that. We're going to go ahead and create a mining outpost. You can do that, or you can simply colonize the planet. By the way, this is also new. You can now see what is required as far as minerals and materials and things, which is kind of nice. All right, so we're going to do that. We're going to create that. All right, so now we come to the project screen. Now, as I said before, projects are how things get done in Alliance of the Sacred Sons. So the first thing you have to do is you have to pick what houses. Now, I've got 4 houses that are happy to me, and Kierley Finn hates me. And then there's Hawkstorm. So green means they're friendly, blue means they're allied, or obviously me, so it's my own house. And by the way, you can lose your own house. Your house can throw you out if you piss them off enough and go against the grain. That's very hard to do, but if you do that, the game is automatically over because you've been deposed. And then Kierley Finn. Well, screw Kierley Finn. I don't need you. So since this is not attacked, now this is something to understand. So this planet is attached to a province. If I were to find a planet that was not attached to a province, then it is very, very difficult to get things done because your admin is very inefficient. You see where it's here it's a red. It means I'm not getting any admin because it's outside my efficiency. He's the planetary viceroy on Pythagoras. Well, Pythagoras is not part of, let me get out of this. Pythagoras is not part of this system. So he's not part of that system. But you'll notice, so I've got a planet here. So the only ones that are in the chain are going to be the viceroys of Rugawit, Alkanost, the system governor, and the province governor, who, by the way, hates me. Now, that's a problem, too. I'm a predator, and they're not going to give me their admin. And this person is showing vengeance. So that's a problem. When you have very negative relationships with people, they're not going to contribute their admin. So you've got to either get rid of them if you want to get something done, find other people to do your work, or improve the relationship. So that's part of the strategy. All right, so we're here. So we're going to go to the province. So we're going to go to the system. As you can see, because the system governor, even though it's green, she's giving me very little because she hates me. Okay? So, you know, the ADM and Kierley Finn, let me just add them on there. Okay, so that's everybody on there. So I'm not getting a whole lot out of here. You know, here's the planetary viceroy, but guess what? I'm prey. So they have 0 ADM. They're not going to give me any of that. So I need to find people that I have good relationships with. So I can't work within this system. So let's go with the province. And of course, first thing I need to do is find an administrator. We look at the skill, the number, tells you how many slots, how many people can work on the project. And then this number is a modifier for ADM, and it's basically a multiplier for how efficient the ADM becomes. So we need to find somebody with both a high skill and a high and preferably a house that I would like to give power to, because when you give an administrator, you're giving them power. So the power of this particular project is 15, so they would get half of that, which isn't great. If you colonize a planet, that's like 40. Then some very high-end projects would be 50. They represent the prestige and being asked to complete an empire-spanning project. So you got to be kind of think about who you're going to put on there. So I would prefer to have someone with skill 3 that is not going to be contributing ADM, because they don't contribute ADM or fun. So let's go with Van Rigel. So let's go ahead and put him in here. All right. So basically, administrative effects not great, but he's got 3 slots, and we're not losing any funding. So now let's look at ADM. Let's see who's got it. Let's see who's got the most. So we've got 236 provincial governor. So I'm sorry. You know what? I haven't actually programmed Predator in. But when I do, that's going to show like nothing. So we'll go ahead and take advantage of that just for the moment, just to kind of get this out of the way. So you see now, because he's the only contributor, he gets all the power. So when you click on him, this is this right here. Oh my God, he's got 323 power. I didn't know I want to piss this guy off. He's more powerful than I am. So that's something that he hates me, and he's more powerful than me. So he's a predator. He's coming after me. I'm his prey. So that is something I would have to look for. In a game with AI, this person would be coming after my ass. So I would have to do something bad, like assassinate him or something. All right, so we're going to execute. It's 1 turn, because I just want to kind of show. We'll back out. Go ahead and turn. And there's so much more that I could show. And you see that my power went negative 2167. It costs a lot of energy to do projects, because this represents fuel for ships and supplies, supplying the actual colony. They need starters, getting all the materials together. So it's pretty expensive to do that. All right, so it's complete. So we're going to have it coming up. So, and because it's close, you'll see how the migration works. Hopefully, as you can see, we haven't had too many bugs yet, so that's exciting. All right, so in just a moment, I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to demographic mode, so you can kind of see what the changes have been. In this mode, it's kind of cool. All right, so we've had 4 million people come in, but they lost 6 million from Rugawit, and 11 million came to my new Cantor Mountain mining outpost. Yay! So let's take a closer look. So what do we get? Okay, well, we got some farmers, but we got mainly miners, which is good because we need miners. So 5 came from Drekovac. We got an engineer, which is good. So we got kind of a mix. So let's take a look. So this is, we have 5 farms, we have 5 energy, we have 20 mines, which is as it should be. It's a mining outpost. So we did get some mines, and we got a fluxman, so we get a little bit of power. So you can see we're already starting to, excuse me, put it out. So, and I have someone of Hawkstorm now. She is a little bit better than average in mining. And this is where you can take viceroys out and put in someone that's better if you're trying to get more output. Also, your domestic prime has these skills as well. So they're Hawkstorm, so they're also contributing effect. All right, so let's go ahead and just end turn. What's cool is you can kind of see where the population is. People come in, hey, they've opened a new outpost. Let's go over there. And you'll see them coming in. Hopefully, there'll be more that come. And you'll see these bars fill up. You see we got a little bit more. Now, they're building a lot of farms, even though it's a mining focus. So mines are actually very low on the list. So this is something where you'd want to maybe get a new viceroy if needed. Okay, see, now we got all these are filled up here. Maybe no one has come. We'll take a look here. As you said, we're trying to get the, okay, so the turn's over, so no one actually migrated. That's sad. Boo. Nothing happened. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes there is no. Now, one thing, too, to look at, we built infrastructure. This isn't a great planet. It's Terran, but the bio's only 41. So it's got some problems. So you have to build infrastructure. So if you try to put this stuff on lava planets, you may be able to build the mines, but that's going to make it a lot harder for miners and whatnot to come. You're going to have to make it worth their while. But you see, we still have plenty of room to grow. So we're going to give it one more turn. We'll see if anybody else comes. But you see, everybody is employed because there's jobs for everybody, and that's something, that's a huge thing. Another thing that really affects the how desirable a planet is the viceroy's charm, just like in politics. Okay, so we added someone. Now we have 12 million. So we added an engineer. That's good. So now they're going to hop on and get in. See, now they put themselves on. So they're going to, now we start having a build point. So slowly we can start building things. So we'll take a look at their charm. Their charm is probably, okay, 13 million. So we added another fluxman. Good. And we have some, we're about to make more power. All right. So let's take a look. Yeah, their charm is low. So basically they're not really selling the dream, so to speak. So viceroys with high charm go a long way towards getting people to come to planet. So, you know, there's something to be said for dropping in a viceroy with high charm to get a colony off the ground, and then replacing with someone more competent once they have kind of off the ground. So, all right, so you can see now we've got a build point. We're breaking even on energy because we, you know, again, she's terrible at energy, so we're getting a huge hit on that. But you see we're already starting to crank out some positives. So we're making money, even though after paying for the upkeep, for the infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. So it takes about a year for these to grow. And as you can see, they cost quite a bit. So dropping in colonies, dropping in mining outposts, not something you want to do just willy-nilly. All right, so that's all I want to show for today. We've got quite a pretty good amount there, but I'm going to continue it the next couple of days and show you a few more things. I'm going to delve a little bit more into the projects, and a little bit more into how those work, and then a little bit more into the popular support, how that works. You see, that's been holding pretty steady. Some of the factors that influence. Oh, I do want to show you one more thing, really quick. So this is something. So we have the demographics. So we have the cultures. So you can see Neo-American, because I'm Neo-American, that is by far the biggest draw. So cultures are going to go basically the governments that they're familiar with. So, but you see 8% traditionalist, because traditionalist Neo-American aren't terribly far apart. So they're going to come as well. If I replace this viceroy with a technic, these Neo-Americans would probably start to leave, because technics would then be drawn in. And Neo-Americans are not terrible about culture diversity, but they're not great about it either. So some people would probably start leaving. So if you're trying to draw a certain type of pop, one way to do that is by installing a viceroy, or by giving a holding to a house that specializes in that culture. That's also a huge draw. So because it's Hawkstorm, I'm Neo-American, that's a big draw to Neo-Americans. Whereas here with, who is this? Milak, they are mercantile, and there's not a whole lot of mercantile out there, but Gilded Worlds, their culture base is close to mercantile, so those two are close. And then you have traditionalists, and then technic, and then People of the Book is one of those mid-culture, because we're close to the middle ring. These are some of the more out there cultures, so they're starting to filter in as well. So it's just cool to see the migration patterns. Anyway, all right, so that's all I've got. So we'll go a little bit more in depth next time, but it'll give you a little taste of what we're working on. That's all I got. Thank you for watching. See you soon.